everybody. Welcome to the best podcast in the history of the world. It's the Awakener podcast. It's great to be with you today. I got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff as it relates to the events that are unfolding in the world in front of you. But first of all, you need to go to theawakener.ca. What is happening? And I've been saying the same story for 8 years now, and I've been detailing exactly what's happening and why it's happening and give you an explanation so you can understand it. Go to theawakener.ca. You can see all that is happening. The events that are unfolding are happening for one reason and one reason only. Barack Obama was a Soviet plant. Joe Biden was likely working for the Russian mafia, might have been Russian mafia himself. And this is all going to make sense to people in the end, because in the darkest hours for the future of the history of the United States, something happened. Hillary did not win that election. And because Hillary did not win that election, somebody who has the opposite agenda to Barack Obama has taken control of this country, America, and is turning it around. It is being saved from its imminent collapse. Now, if you think about it, what would happen in empire collapse? Well, what happened in Rome, as we've talked about many times? When Rome was collapsing, you had much of the kind of the same stuff that was happening as it is now. Society was degrading. People were demoralized. Demoralized in the sense of they weren't following any kind of truth. They had no difference between right and wrong. They didn't know anything that was going on whatsoever. And the same thing's happening today. And obviously, when Rome was collapsing, its enemies played war versus it, or garnered kind of a plan to take it out, to destroy it, because they could never destroy Rome from the outside. Rome was too militarily strong. They had too many trained soldiers, too many methods of attack, and they just couldn't be beat. Now, the same applies to the United States of America. The United States of America is an incredibly strong military nation. And when you can't kill this nation in a full-fledged attack from the outside, you have to devise a plan to kill from within. To kill from within means a total war. Now, we are, as a society, the Western world, in a total all-out war versus an evil that seeks to destroy it and almost turn the war or the world backwards. And Barack Obama was working for this communist conspiracy to destroy the United States of America, and he was their plant in the hours of empire collapse. He was setting up the war that they were going to pin on Hillary. Hillary was going to have to go along with their plans because she was being blackmailed, because our enemies are blackmailing our politicians. Our enemies know and are tracking and are keeping tabs on our politicians and forcing them to do an agenda that leads to death from within. How did we get society to collapse from within? Well, it's very simple. If you don't believe in the family, if you don't believe men and women, society's going to collapse. If you don't believe any kind of truth or have any kind of moral values, society's going to collapse. It's not going to be sustainable. If we print money and spend like a credit card, it's going to collapse. And this was all done to us. Now, go back in history, go back to the 1980s, as I talked about many times before. America was strong. America couldn't be beaten. And this Iron Curtain collapse that it was faked in the late 80s, early 90s, has come full circle now. Our enemies are plotting to take us out. This leads us to what is happening today in Canada and around the rest of the world. I got asked a bunch of questions. Why is it that Donald Trump is interfering in the Canadian election? Well, don't be surprised if the CIA and all its power intervenes in the Canadian election. Why? Well, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a war because Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, all have advanced weapons, and they're just salivating at the mouth, thinking about what's going to happen when the United States of America falls. How are they going to garner a war where they take control of this planet and all the power, and we're not ready to fight this off? And they've been thinking about this and setting this plan into motion for quite some time. So why is he interfering in Canada's election? Well, like if you looked at his statement this past week or today, it depends when this podcast is going to be released. It might be released in a couple of days. But if you look at this and you replace Mark Carney with Pierre Poilievre, the left would be screaming, oh my goodness, Donald Trump is interfering in Canada's elections. He's voting for Pierre Poilievre to win this election. He's rooting for him. And look at, like, this is horrible. Why is he not doing? So think about the psyche here. The left hates Donald Trump, and now they're seeing Donald Trump come to Mark Carney's backing. This makes no sense to us. Why is this happening? It's because it's reverse psychology, ladies and gentlemen. All this is reverse psychology to degrade. And I hate to say this, but when war is going to break out between Russia, China, the United States of America, Iran, really America does not want to give one iota about Canada and have to worry about us. So before this war is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be an attempt to kind of make Canada malleable and to take us. Much like I've told you in this podcast 6 years ago, for those of you who have listened to me for a long time, you're going to be like, wow, he is right. I told you America is going to annex Canada. And this is going to happen not because of our resources, not because they care about our people. Actually, they don't even want our people. The people would be the worst thing for their society because most of the people in Canada are leftists. They don't want our minerals. They don't want our gas. They don't care. They just need to protect themselves because Russia is 300 miles right across the Arctic Circle. So why is JD Vance in Greenland right now? Why is the Panama Canal thing happening? It's all happening for a reason. Now, what is the future in Canada? This is a really interesting question. People ask me. I'm very, very nervous for Canada as a whole. I'm very nervous because the government in Canada is involved in mass treason against the United States of America because they work for this globalist group, aka George Soros, and have been covertly helping our enemies embed us into take over. And think about things logically for a perspective, okay? Let's go back and let's study world history one more time. World War I, when there was trenches, you had one side and you had the other side. So fast forward to now, what purpose would there be to turn Canada into a nation of 100 million people from the other side of the world before this war happens with America? Well, it's because our government is against America. They're against everything that it stands for, and they're slowly leading us to that demise. So this is what people need to really understand. Number one, was George Soros an honest person when he told you the Iron Curtain was collapsed? Was our government honest? Number two, is Vladimir Putin being honest about his intentions, even though his military agenda is exactly the same? And if you can come to a conclusion that both are not being honest, well, that's where we are in this podcast. Go to theawakener.ca. It's going to be great to be the 51st state.